If that had been the case, we would not be here today. There is many ways to look at it, but inshallah, let's start with the very term that you said, Big Bang, right? It covers the whole universe. But let's see how the Quran describes this, right? In Surah Rahman, verse 7, Allah says, As-sama arafa'aha wa wada al-mizan. And the heaven he raised. Now, this first part, the heaven he raised, As-sama arafa'aha, that's obvious. That goes exactly in line with the Big Bang. Everything we see is expanding, the heaven is raising. But then it goes on to say, As-sama rafaha wa wada al-mizan, and impose the balance. The point is, that proton and the electron circling around it has some structure, that system, right? If the electron moves too far away or if they get out of sync, that's not an atom anymore, right? So in that early universe, atoms were not possible. The temperature and the pressures were too high. And if we look at charge symmetry, the law of charge symmetry says that in that early universe, out of that very initial quark-gluon plasma, that superheated, almost immaterial structure, two types of you can say entities should have been formed: matter and its antimatter part. See, because charge parity means that the total charge in the universe is zero, in the sense as much positive charge, as much negative charge equal there is. And so to maintain that balance, in fact, this came out, I believe Pauli came out this, I'm trying to remember. But the idea is that because of this charge parity, exactly equal amount of matter and antimatter particles should have been formed. Now, if exactly the same amount of matter and antimatter had been formed, remember we are talking about Bawada al-Mizan, as in the imposing of the balance. So the idea is exactly equal amounts of matter and antimatter, if they were formed that way, they would both collide. And what happens when antimatter and matter collide? Annihilation, in essentially. It means that there is nothing left after that. As in, when we say nothing, obviously not nothing, only energy is left, only light is left, essentially. If that had been the case, we would not be here today. But what really happened is that for every billion antimatter particle, 1 billion plus 1 matter particle was formed in a very specific balance. By the way, if this balance had been any different, would have been a very different story. But the point is, it was precisely 1 billion plus 1 matter particles, and we, me and you and this room and everything in this universe is that billionth plus 1 matter particle.